A small old age pension is all Mom lives on. And she's just a nuisance, right? I can't live with her. You take her.
Is this how you treat the mother who raised you alone? The attitude of my brother and his wife is just too awful. I can't leave Mom with them any longer. I would be happy to take her in, I exclaimed, grasping my mother's hand. But my mother is not just a nuisance. My name is Susan. I am a 39-year-old working mother. I married my husband after an office romance. Blessed with a son and a daughter, we lead a happy life. My father-in-law and mother-in-law are good people, and we maintain a comfortable distance in our relationship. What concerns me is my own family home. My mother, Bianca, she divorced when I was young and raised 3 children on her own. Only after having 2 children of my own did I realize how hard that must have been. If I were to separate from my husband now, I don't think I could raise 2 children alone. I am only grateful to my mother who raised me and my 2 brothers so well. Now she has gotten quite old. Although she worked until she was 65, she's still quite healthy in her 70s. But each time I see her, she seems older, which is heartbreaking. She still lives alone at home, but I'm starting to worry about her future. Then one day, I got a call from her. What? Move in with my brother? Yes. Thomas suggested it. What do you think? Thomas is my eldest brother. It's not unusual for the eldest son to live with his mother. Normally, I would be grateful for him taking care of our elderly mother, but I can't be happy about this because my older brother disliked her. When our parents divorced, I was only 3 and have little memory of my father, but my brother, now 46, was 10 at the time. A difficult pre-adolescent age. Maybe that's why he resents our mother. He was always complaining about how we had to live away from our beloved father and how our living standards dropped. But that's misguided. The divorce was due to our father's infidelity, and he stopped paying child support after the first year. I can somewhat understand my brother's feelings, but hating our mother even as an adult seems wrong. He never visits home, not for Christmas or other family gatherings. He lives only a 10-minute drive from our old house. He's married, but didn't even introduce his wife to us. He has no children and could easily visit, but he remains distant from me and our brother. Now that I think about it, I can't even remember what my sister-in-law Lucy looks like or what my brother looks like now. When was the last time I saw him? And now he's proposing to live with our mother? I have a bad feeling about this. Why does he suddenly want to live together? Oh, his rental lease is up for renewal. Apparently, his salary has decreased due to the economy, so he's having a hard time and wants to move in. What? That's completely self-serving, typical of my brother. If he wanted to live with Mom out of concern for her, that would be one thing, but just to secure his own housing? No way. But the decision is up to Mom. What do you want to do, Mom? Well, living alone has its perks, but it's starting to get inconvenient. Then yesterday, Thomas and Lucy came to visit. Oh, really? Thomas apologized deeply, saying he was sorry for everything and asked to be allowed to show filial piety from now on. Wow, that's unexpected. Right? Even though he disliked me so much, I was happy. Maybe my brother has grown up? With that, my mother and my brother's family began living together. From what my mother tells me, there were no problems at first. They respected her space and were quiet, but soon their true colors showed. Lucy is so cold. My mother's calls quickly turned to complaints. Lucy, she's a housewife but does nothing, no cleaning, no laundry. Not even there? I have always done my own, but they put their laundry in my basket expecting me to do it. Don't they offer to help? No, it's strange to take out their laundry and only wash mine. My back hurts from the increased load. Don't they help with any other household chores? No, they don't. I've heard that Lucy just lazes around all day doing nothing but lying on the sofa. Her main activities are eating snacks and watching TV. She doesn't clean up the crumbs, go shopping, or prepare meals. So Mom is doing all the cleaning, shopping, and cooking for 3 people? Yes. What? That's not living together. That's just mooching off her. No, it's worse than that. I also heard that my brother and his wife aren't contributing to the grocery or utility bills. Really? Really? I was so astounded I couldn't close my mouth. Why didn't you discuss and agree on these things before moving in together? I asked, but Mom seemed troubled. We did talk about it beforehand, she said. At first, my brother was paying Mom the agreed amount, but that soon stopped even when she subtly asked for it.
This month's tied with extra expenses and my reduced salary,
he would say, evading the issues. Not paying rent, utilities, or food costs? Where are they spending their money? Actually, they bought a car. What? If they're short on money, why buy a car, especially when it's not necessary here? I paid for it. Mom, paid for it? I couldn't help but react. They said it would be hard for me to get to the hospital or shopping, so they would drive me around, but I haven't ridden in it once. It was so outrageous that I tried calling my brother, but he wouldn't answer. It ended up being call rejection. Unbelievable. A few days later, another call from Mom. This time, shocking news. Thomas got laid off and is now unemployed. It was a seriously unsettling story. A few days later, my worries grew when my calls to my mom went unanswered, and she didn't contact me either. Filled with anxiety, I asked my husband to take care of the kids and hurriedly boarded a train. If we lived closer, I could visit my parents' home more often, but due to my husband's job, we live far away. After a 2-hour train ride, I arrived at my childhood home, which seemed much older than I remembered. Standing in front of the house, I rang the doorbell, but with no response, I gently tried the front door, and it opened easily. That meant someone must be home, but why was there no answer? Just as I thought to call out, wondering what was happening, I heard a groaning sound. Unmistakably, it was my mother's voice. Mom? Rushing into her room, I found her lying on the floor. Mom? I felt my blood run cold. I hurried to her side and called out to her. Then her eyes opened. Mom, are you okay? I need to call 911. As I reached for my phone to dial, she stopped my hand. Mom? Hungry. What? Well, what do you mean? Are you in pain? I need to call for help. I was hungry. Despite my urgency to call for help, she wouldn't let go of my hand. Struggling to free myself, she mastered all her strength and said, I'm hungry. And then she collapsed back onto the floor. Thank you. I haven't eaten anything since yesterday. My mother continued to eat voraciously. In front of me, who had hurriedly bought food, she devoured everything with incredible speed. Even in her 70s, her appetite hadn't diminished. But this wasn't the time to be impressed. According to her, my brother and his wife, knowing she couldn't move due to back pain, had left her alone and gone out. What were you thinking leaving Mom like this? As I was fuming, there was a noise at the entrance. My brother and his wife had returned. Hey, what are you doing, leaving Mom with a bad back? Whoa, Susan, you scared me. You have aged a bit since I last saw you. Never mind that. You have aged too. What's the big deal all of a sudden? Don't just barge into someone's house. Mom was collapsed from hunger. We didn't know. She could have had some instant food or something. I checked everywhere from the fridge to the pantry and there's nothing. How could you leave her unable to shop? My anger grew at my brother's indifference. However, my brother doesn't understand it at all, but he just seemed annoyed. So noisy. It's easy for you to say you don't live with her. I heard Mom does all the housework. Well, we let her stay with us, so she should do that much. Lucy, you don't do anything around the house, right? When I glared at Lucy standing behind my brother, she clicked her tongue too. So annoying. We let her live with us. She should do at least that much. What a pair they were. So wonderfully in agreement. No, that didn't matter. What's the point of living together if Mom does everything? It's comforting to know we're here in case of emergency. What nonsense! This is an emergency. My anger was unrelenting, but it didn't seem to affect them at all. They just looked annoyed. Enough with the noise, really. Mom living on her meager old age pension is just in the way. Even though you use that pension to buy a car? That's only natural. I'm the eldest and I take care of our parents. When have you ever taken care of anything? Yelling in frustration, my throat started to hurt. My brother, who was never close to our mother, had become a complete stranger. It's just too sad for Mom. Think more about Mom. Shut up. What does an outsider have to say? No matter what I said, my brother wouldn't understand. He glared at me irritably. I thought living with Mom on her pension would let us live freely. Didn't expect it to be so little. Saying this with a sigh, the look in his eyes towards our mother was cold. Mother looked down, saddened. To her, my brother said with a laugh,
Really, a penniless mom is just a nuisance.
"Hey, brother."
If she's so important, you take her.
"What?" I couldn't believe it. I wanted to believe it. Despite his resentment, he still had some gratitude towards our mother, but my hope was crushed. Biting my lip, I glared at my brother and Lucy, who were laughing mockingly. I couldn't let these people have their way. I didn't want Mom to suffer anymore. So while glaring, I managed a smile and said, "Right. You two can provide a peaceful old age for Mom. I'll gladly take care of her." "Susan?" Surprised, I smiled to reassure Mom. "It's okay, Mom. I'm sorry to move you out of this house, but come stay with us." "But Oliver has always said it's okay to live together, but I thought it's better if you stayed with my brother. It's fine now, right? Mom, come live with us. Let me repay you for raising us." As I reached out my hand, tears filled her eyes. "Thank you, Susan."
Hey, get out quickly. Enjoy your cramped life in your tiny house.
After glancing at my brother, we left our childhood home. Mom's possessions were surprisingly few. Turns out unemployed Lucy had been selling them off. Unbelievable. I should have come to fetch her sooner. The regret was overwhelming. But my brother's words, though he had never seen my house, hit a nerve. I looked at Mom apologetically. "Sorry, Mom. I got carried away. Our place is really small. It might be cramped. Our condo suitable for a couple's income was very small. Too small to give individual rooms to our teenage kids. How do I arrange a room for Mom?" As I pondered, my brother's words echoed.
Just so you know, Mom's room is gone. This place is ours now.
That jerk. I was about to glare back, but Mom placed her hand on mine. "It's okay. Mom? It's okay, Susan. Let's live together in a mansion." "What?" Her sudden words puzzled me. As I wondered, Mom smiled at my brother and his wife. "Thank you for everything. From now on, I'll live in a mansion with Susan's family."
Huh?
My brother and his wife looked just as puzzled. But without explaining, Mom said, "Goodbye." And she started walking, pulling my hand. What did she mean?
Probably just sour grapes.
Or maybe she's finally lost it with age. Hearing my brother and his wife's voices, I left with Mom. 2 years later, aliens have invaded our peaceful home. Suddenly it was my brother and his wife. In the middle of the night, who could it be? I rushed to the intercom and saw them on the monitor. It had been a long time. As unwelcome as thieves, I thought, but opened the door and they barged in and immediately,
What the hell is this?
he yelled, "It's the middle of the night. Don't yell, it's rude."
Shut up, explain what's going on.
"If you want me to explain, I can't stay quiet." My logical reply made my brother's face turn red. "So, what's this about?" Upon my question, my brother pointed at the walls of the house and shouted,
What is this place?
"It's a house. Just a house."
I'm asking, what's with this mansion?
A mansion is a fancy term for a big house.
Stop it already.
Though I was deliberately invasive, his frustration made him tear at his ear.
How could you afford such a mansion with Mom's old age pension and your income? I'm struggling financially right now. Help me out a bit.
Yes, we had moved to a much larger house. Compared to it, our old house was indeed tiny. That's right. Certainly, our income wouldn't have been enough for this house. I smiled. "Thanks, brother," and said,
Huh?
My sudden gratitude puzzled him, so I repeated, "Really? Thank you," I said.
What do you mean?
"Thanks for handing Mom over to me. This house was built with her money."
What? How could she afford this? We barely had savings growing up and her pension was so little.
"Maybe it's from an inheritance?"
Huh?
"Did you know? Mom's dad, our grandpa, was quite wealthy."
Now that you mention it, it does ring a bell.
Mom received a substantial inheritance from him.
That can't be. We lived a poor life when we were kids.
Mom tried to outdo her ex-husband who wouldn't pay child support. She vowed to raise us with her own strength without touching the inheritance. I was stunned to hear the amount. Despite having that money, she chose a hard life out of pride. I respect her for that. Sure, we might have been poor, but I never hated it. She managed to send us to good schools and provide a normal life. How could you treat Mom so badly after all her hard work?
What
What are you doing here now, especially in the middle of the night? Go back home. I pointed out, but my brother didn't move. Then Lucy, unabashed, chimed in. So this house belongs to Bianca, right? That means it will eventually be ours. Huh? Her sudden claim baffled me, but Lucy looked down on me. Of course, even if you inherit it as a provisional heir, we have a right to a compulsory portion. She was well informed, but I responded firmly. Too bad, this house is already mine, gifted to me during Mom's lifetime. The deed is in my name. What? Even if it's a gift, we still have rights to a portion. You will have to pay us. Despite not working, Lucy knew about these things. She had a point. If Mom's only asset was this mansion and it harmed my brother's compulsory portion, he could claim his share after her passing. But unfortunately for them, that wasn't our intention. I showed them a paper I had prepared for such a situation, brought by my husband who sensed the need. Good job, husband. I'm impressed now. This is a statement of Mom's asset. Huh? First, this house was gifted to me as my property. Huh? Then most of the remaining cash goes to our middle brother. Huh? And the last of the assets is this. I pointed to the item. Yes, it was our childhood home, currently occupied by my brother and his wife. You were gifted our childhood home, right? You can't say you didn't receive it. The house may be old, but it's in a great location, quite a valuable property. You should be benefiting the most, even more than our middle brother, with this mansion and the cash, right? When the results came out, I was quite dissatisfied, but it couldn't be helped. If this meant cutting ties, then it was a small price to pay. The middle brother had already agreed. Any complaints now? I had no sympathy for my brother who forcefully ousted our mother and took over our childhood home, regardless of how hard his life might be. I'll let you have the childhood home, but go back. This means we're done with you. I shouted, but the troubled-looking couple didn't move. What now? You still have something to say? My brother, looking everywhere but at me, finally spoke. No, nothing left. What do you mean, nothing left? The house is gone. What? Yes, we did receive it as a gift. I transferred it to my name. Great, but what do you mean by the house is gone? We sold it. What? What did you say? We've already sold it. The house is gone. What did you say? Sold it right after transferring it to his name? What was he thinking? Well, he must have had made a fortune then, so it should be fine. I didn't understand why they were here in the middle of the night. The couple before me turned paler and paler. Actually, the money from selling the house went to pay off debts. What? How so? We tried a big investment hoping for a turnaround. Uh-huh. And it was a huge failure. Uh-huh. Even after selling the house and paying off, we're still short. Uh-huh. What do we do? I don't know. I was speechless. Apparently they paid off their debts by selling the house but then made another investment, which surprisingly failed, plunging them back into debt. So that's why you came here in the middle of the night? Please hide us or even pay off our debts. As if you brought this on yourself. My husband and I tried to prevent them from entering the house, but as we were struggling, a siren. What? A police car siren sounded and stopped in front of the house. The couple, clearly guilty of something, fled. They must have done something illegal beyond just failing to repay debts. It was Mom who called the police. She had been watching everything. I wondered if I failed at raising my child, she murmured weakly. Later, I got a call from my brother. Lucy had filed for divorce. No surprise there. Lucy, who never wanted to work, probably saw no more use in him. I only got a call about the divorce from someone who never announced their marriage. As expected, he called to ask for money. Turns out, ex-Lucy also got into investing post-divorce. Claiming to have better foresight than that man, she quickly went bankrupt and into debt. Then, unsurprisingly, she turned to my brother for help. Ridiculous! I only told him I wanted no further involvement. Mom is happily gardening in the splendid garden of her new home. She started a home garden and my teenage sons are happily helping, enjoying the harvest. The spacious house comfortably accommodates the visiting family of my middle brother. I want to make this beautiful house a place of happiness for Mom till the end. I see it as my way of repaying her.